Absolutely.
I can't stand up here today after hearing many spirited conversations. Today, as we currently mourn the death of George Floyd as his funeral is being held in Houston, Texas, stand here to say that we made great strides towards racial justice for all citizens. That the man, Nathan Bedford Forrest, who this bill seeks to remove him as a state holiday, that I can say his influence has died. Nathan Bedford Forrest, in fact, is still alive. And his teachings and his acts are all a part of the very fabric of America that we live in today. Now, I don't know about you, but it breaks my heart when I had to sit there and watch for 8 minutes and 46 seconds a man die with an officer's knee in his neck. And what it does, it reminds me of Nathan Bedford Forrest having chains around black people's necks as he sold them as slaves in my city in Memphis, Tennessee. It pains me that members of our military, a troop that he oversaw, shot and killed 221 innocent black people 40 miles north of Memphis, Tennessee, and we give him a state holiday. Not just a bust in the Capitol. Most people in Tennessee don't come in the state Capitol. Let's be real. They would never actually see that bust that sits up there. But everybody in Tennessee observes a state holiday, and you're requiring Tennesseans like myself to honor a man who killed my ancestors, brutally wrote multiple articles about how black people are evil people, how we should die. And it's 2020. Now, many of you on this committee, I consider my friend. I love you. We've had good times. We hug in the hallway. But that doesn't mean supporting Nathan Bedford Forrest is right. That doesn't mean because a couple of people in your district still value Nathan Bedford Forrest that we all should have to sit here and celebrate a racist. Nathan Bedford Forrest is in fact racist. I don't care what he did in his previous life, at the end of his life, it doesn't make up for the fact that he spent the majority of his life selling slaves and making millions, killing black people, and being the first Grand Wizard of the KKK that spends his whole history, even to this day, figuring out how they can murder more black people. And you making everybody in the state of Tennessee celebrate this man with a state holiday. So with that being said, we've heard enough about Nathan Bedford Forrest, and my colleagues, Representative Staples and Representative Love, did a very eloquent job, but I can't do that while we right here celebrating, mourning George Floyd's death, because he died innocently with the knee in his neck, which are the same tactics as Nathan Bedford Forrest taught over 100 years ago. Enough knees in our neck, enough celebrating racism. If you truly believe that we are all equal, make that happen with your vote today. Because if I'm not mistaken, when our legislators, my colleagues, tried to talk about racial injustice yesterday, instead of letting us talking about it and work those tough conversations out, we just shut the bill down. I can't come up here and eloquently talk about Nathan Forrest without it making my blood boil. Without knowing he killed people looking like me. That's who he is. That's the man you celebrate. And with your vote today, you're either going to vote against racism or for it. That's who he is. That is what he represents. It's no gray area. It's none of that. You either for it or against it. There's no conversation about who this and this and that. Nathan Bedford Forrest is a racist, or you're going to take it away. There's no gray area. And with that, I'm for passage of this bill.
Any questions? You recognize, Representative. I got one question. Is your Senate sponsor moving the bill? The calendar says it's basically been deferred to Senate.
I have not talked with her, but I'm asking us today to take up this bill and send a message in this committee.
You recognize Representative Clement. Question's been called for. Any objection to the question being called?
Roll call vote, please.
I sought recognition prior.
He did see, I did as a courtesy. Okay, you're ready. Please withdraw. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. And to the sponsor, listen, I think everyone here can sense the passion that you have on this particular topic. And there's no one that I'm aware of on this panel here that is in any way celebrating slavery, racism, or any other characteristic that maybe you implied in your remarks by saying that if we don't vote a certain way on this, that we implicitly are racist, or we're celebrating slavery, or we are capitulating to some other nefarious and egregious action. I'm not. I don't appreciate being boxed into that position, especially when your legislation addresses one particular person, while it fails to also recognize the special observance of Robert E. Lee Day, Andrew Jackson Day. Heard a lot about Andrew Jackson today from me. Confederate Decoration Day. But then it also does only singularly identify Nathan Bedford Forrest Day. So when we continue to move down this path of singularly, and as I've said several times in this committee, selectively only identifying one person, that is an effort to remove that person from the historical narrative of our state, while we excuse away and continue the allowance and actually perpetuate the presence of an individual who is guilty of just as much, if not more, than this particular individual. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the committee today. And I recognize, based on our calendar, that this action has been deferred in the Senate and is not going to move forward. So if this is an issue that the Senate would like to take up, I'd like to make a motion that we actually defer our action until the Senate moves on that piece of legislation on their side.
You recognize? Fellas, hold on just a second. She's requested to speak. She's a sponsor. Let's give her that courtesy, please.
Thank you, Chairman. In response to Representative Holt, let me make it very clear. I don't support any race, and if you would be so bold, add an amendment to this bill and you pass it out, take away Robert E. Lee Day, any other Confederate or any other racist person, and let's get rid of them all, I would be happy to do that. So let's be very clear, and let's be very clear. The Democratic Party does not celebrate Andrew Jackson no more. Our state party has taken the lead on advancing racial equality. That behind my name does not support. We've removed him from celebration. So we've already been, me and everything I stand for and what I'm pushing for have already made moves in order to stop doing that. So again, if you have a problem with Andrew Jackson being celebrated, I too. I got a problem with Robert E. Lee. Let's take him away. And since you want to bring it up, I'd love for you to place an amendment on it just to do that.
You recognize Representative Holt.
Thank you, and appreciate those comments. And we can amend this bill all we want, but it's not moving. There will be no action most likely taken on the Senate side. So we can amend this legislation all we want. But again, I'm going to renew my motion that we defer action until this is taken up by the Senate. That's a proper motion, and it's been seconded.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second, but Representative Holt, I'm going to recognize these two gentlemen to speak on your motion. It's a proper motion and a second. We're going to vote on it. They want to speak on it.
I'm speaking on the motion.
Okay. You recognize Representative Hodges.
And so, as far as that, I'm going to say, how many bills has this House pushed that are not going to be heard in the Senate? 90% of what we're doing is going to be heard in the Senate, yet you guys don't have a problem with that. So why are we all of a sudden making this bill the one that we care?
Representative, don't you respond, then we're going back to Mitchell, then we're going back to Clement. And then the sponsor, and then Griffey. I'm sorry.
That's an excellent and astute point. There's nothing that says that if the Senate takes action on this that we won't revisit the topic. In essence, we've placed several bills in position waiting for the Senate to take action upon those pieces of legislation. this does nothing other than that exact same posture that we have on multiple pieces of legislation.
You recognize Representative Hodges.
So can I be confident that from now on you're gonna do this to every bill that we hear on the House floor that's not gonna be heard in the Senate? Or are you gonna feel the same way, or are you gonna change tune then?
Hey, Larry, please, Larry, let's maintain some decorum, please.
I think the question posed to me, after this session, I'm not coming back. So y'all do whatever you want.
I'm talking about being on the floor right now. Every bill that we're hearing in the House floor this session, are you going to have that same response if it's not being heard in the Senate? Are you going to stop pushing bills through every committee and through the House floor with that same response?
Gentlemen, I'm going to allow this go on for one more minute, but let's stay on topic, please.
There's really no reason for this to continue. I mean, I think this is definitely a running debate. But the question was posed to me, and I'll let you judge my actions however you choose to judge them.
Mitchell, Clemens, then Griffey, then we're going to vote.
Along the same lines, this saved me several hours this evening to have to not go to judiciary until all hours of the night to hear a bunch of gun bills about, putting guns on college campuses, college football games, college dormitories. We've heard guns, AK by pre-K, whatever y'all can come up with. But when something that matters, we want to hide behind it then.
Okay.
Let's take some action.
All right, Mitchell, let's stay on topic, please. I've been pretty lenient. Absolutely, that's fair. Representative Clemens, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I just want to point out that, as you know, I called the previous question on this piece of legislation. Out of collegial courtesy, the gentleman said that he had...
Let me correct you on that. He had the floor. I went to you as a courtesy to you. He had his hand up first, Representative Holt did, and I went to you as a courtesy. And again, if we want to vote on this about who's right or who's wrong, I'm trying to be fair, and I'm trying to operate it in a manner where we can act in a civil manner. But if that's not the case, we can vote on it, and we'll go that way.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to point out that I was recognized, called the question, and withdrew the question so a question could be asked.
Certainly.
And a comment could be made. I did not do so a motion could be made to kill this bill. I just want to point that out, that if we're going to act in good faith and show common courtesy, let's not take advantage of it. That's all I'm asking.
I can't read the representative's mind, but it's my understanding he was going to make a motion when I called on him. And if that's incorrect, I'll have to rely on the honor system. If that's incorrect, please clear me up. Who else wants to speak on this before we vote? Representative Griffey. And again, we're here as long as you want to stay and you want to talk. The sponsors are going to get a chance to talk again, and whoever wants to speak can speak. Griffey recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative, for bringing this bill, and I appreciate you. I appreciate your passion. I love you as a federal legislature. I love you as a person. In this committee earlier during this year, we did have a doctor of history from Vanderbilt University that came and spoke about Nathan Bedford Forrest, and I don't recall every specific detail that he went through, but it was just my observation and assessment that a lot of the things you assume to be associated with Nathan Bedford Forrest, he disagreed with. And the reason I bring this point up is because when we have persons or symbols can mean different things to different folks, and I don't think it advances our job and effort here if we take positions on symbols and then put forth the position that you either vote an agreement with me or you're not voting with me. It's an insinuation that you're, have some other motives or ill motives or something like that. I just don't think that's a fair thing to do as far as debate, discussion in this body. So, thank you.
Sponsor, you're recognized.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments. Again, Nathan Bedford Forrest has been recognized for being the Grand Wizard of the KKK, leading the Fort Pillow Massacre, killed 221 innocent black soldiers and becoming a millionaire from selling black slaves who were on chain on an auction block in Memphis, Tennessee. Now, we've already taken a bold step of removing Memorial Nathan Bedford Forrest in my city. I'm asking you today to respect all Tennesseans, to love Tennessee enough that you welcome all people to this great state and not require us to celebrate a man whose history is renowned for killing people who look like me. That is who he is. That is what he's being celebrated for, not because he went to church later on in his lifetime, but because he was a mass murderer who committed treason. Now, if Nathan Bedford Forrest lied today, y'all be pissed off at him because how dare you go against law enforcement? How dare you go against the government? How dare you? Well, how dare us support Nathan Bedford Forrest? That's who he is. You're either going to vote for a man who is a mass murderer of hundreds of African Americans who sold us into slavery and made millions of dollars, or you're going to vote to be progressive and move this state forward and retell the history so that everybody knows they're welcome to Tennessee by not giving this man a day. You got two options as a legislator. We get a yes and a no. You're going to vote for progress, or you're going to vote against it today. That is what my bill is about. And this is not about a bus that only us see walking in and out the chamber, and this does suck looking at it. It hurts. But you're voting on something that you're requiring everybody in the state to do. And that, my friend, is not fair. So again, you're either going to support him or you don't. Chairman.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to be recognized? On the motion? Anybody else wish to be recognized on either side? If not, Bo Mitchell, you're recognized.
Motion to adjourn.
Proper motion, non-debatable motion, based on my understanding of the rules. Anybody want to challenge that question? 5-minute recess. We're back in session. I want to direct the body's attention to the standing rules of the House. Rule number 26, precedence of motions. Number 1, to adjourn. Next, I want to reference House Rule 25. What motions are not debatable? To adjourn. It's the ruling of the chair that the motion to adjourn is in order. Clerk, please take the vote. Parliamentary inquiry, yes.
Thank you, Chairman. So we have 2 additional folks who have been sitting patiently out here all day. And in essence, if we vote to adjourn, they will not have the opportunity to be heard. And we had a proper motion on the table. It is non-debatable. All that said, we will not be able to take up those pieces of legislation today. Is that correct?
That's the conclusion. That's correct, yes. You recognize this is not for debate, but for a parliamentary inquiry. Is that correct? Please affirm that before we go forward. That's correct, right? Yes. Yes, absolutely recognized.
I understand the point that's being made, but I would add that neither of the bills remaining on the calendar have had any action in the state Senate. Thank you.
The parliamentary situation is Representative Mitchell has made a motion to adjourn. That's a non-debatable motion. Clerk, please take the vote.
Representatives Beck, Carr, Clemens, Curcio, Dunn, Eldridge, Griffey, Hodges, Holt, Lynn, Mitchell, Reagan, Rudd, Sexton, Sherrill, Sparks, Vice Chairman Cassada.
Clerk, please publish the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 4 ayes and 10 noes.
We're back on the motion. Please take the roll. I'm going to defer to the sponsor of the motion to restate the motion.
Could I also have inquiry regarding our rules?
Please restate the motion, then you can have an inquiry, yes.
My motion is to move to defer action until the Senate takes action on this legislation. And as for my parliamentary inquiry, or I don't guess it's parliamentary, but just the rules of the House, are we allowed as members to record video in this chamber? Because I think we haven't been doing so at this moment.
It's the standing rule of the House to not record, and it's also been my policy as a chairman to encourage openness. And Gloria, I've been cool with you so far. Can you be cool with me and not record anymore at the request of the member? This is a personal request. Is that fair? We're good. I hope this is a parliamentary inquiry. If it is, you're recognized. If not, we've got to vote.
I do have a question. So if they're moving to defer mine because of its Senate status, do they have to do that for everyone else who has similar status in the Senate as well?
You'll have to direct that question to the Chief Clerk of the House. I mean, it's not happened in this committee thus far.
If I'm not, so his motion is to defer my bill, right?
That's correct.
And it's because of the fact that it's not being taken up in the Senate right now because they're only looking at the COVID.
That's the basis of the motion. That's a parliamentary situation, yeah.
So every other bill after me whose Senate side is not being taken up, will they also be deferred?
You'll have to direct that to the Chief Clerk of the House.
Can I get can you answer the question for me?
He can. I just talked to him. He's right down the hall. Absolutely.
Can we call him in here so answer my question, please?
Well, I'm going to rule that's inappropriate, but you and I can go talk to him in person. I'll be glad to do that as soon as we get through voting on this.
I'm saying that because if we are doing that to me based on my bill, and we don't do that to anybody else, I just want the committee to understand what type of statement they're sending out to the world by doing this to my bill, deferring it so you won't have to vote. I just want to put that out there.
Right. And I've given you all kinds of leeway, and I've given every member of the committee leeway. I want to make sure everybody feels like they got their chance to talk today. And with that, please take the vote.
Representatives Beck, Carr, Clemens, Curcio, Dunn, Eldridge, Griffey, Hodges, Holt, Lynn, Mitchell, Reagan, Rudd, Sexton, Sherrill, Starks, Vice Chairman Cassada,
Please publish the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you 7 ayes and 7 noes.
Action deferred. What's the count? Please publish the count.
7 ayes and 7 noes.
Question fails. Chair passes. We're back on the bill. You recognize Representative Dunn.
This may be more addressed to my Republican colleagues. And one of the founders of our party was Abraham Lincoln, and he helped free the slaves. He was against slavery. The whole reason this language is in the code that she's trying to move, it was the Democrat Party that put it there. Nathan Bedford Forrest was a Democrat. His statue is over there because the Democrats put him there. Now, the Democratic Party realizes the sins of their past and their racist past, and they want to clean it up. Let's help them. Thank you.
You recognize. Question's been called for. Roll call's been requested. Please call the question. Call the vote, please.
Representatives Beck,
Parliamentary inquiry. No, we're voting on the bill itself. That's your motion, buddy. Yes, voting on the bill itself.
Representative Carr, Clemens,
Yes.
Curcio, Dunn, Eldridge, Griffey, Hodges, Holt, Lynn, Mitchell, Reagan, Rudd, Sexton, Sherrill, Sparks, Vice Chairman Cassada,
Take the vote. Chairman passes. Take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 7 ayes, 6 noes, and 1 present not voting.
Calendar rules. You recognize Representative Todd. Motion on the bill.